Hey, Branden Scrivener running for federal Congress as a non-party affiliated candidate in District 12, Florida. I am here today to talk about healthcare reform. I have experience myself working in healthcare for the last 3 years. I've been working at a popular healthcare chain, um, and I have been working to meet regulations as far as letters from Medicare, making sure that gets delivered to patients. And also, I work with insurance companies to try to get them to cover patients' skilled nursing needs. And I see all kinds of insurances, all kinds of plans, some of them very simple, some of them very difficult. And noticeably, the ones that are difficult are so bad. I can't name names, but I'm sitting on the phone for 30, 45 an hour, um, going through different call representatives, different places, different promises, different take this number, call this person, voicemails, faxes, 2-day time frames just to get a yes or a no if they're going to cover the patient or not. And then if they say no, there's a whole process to appeal and fight that. And it just shouldn't be that difficult for people to get the care that they need. Now, I only see it from the skilled nursing facility perspective, but I know, the prices that I pay for healthcare. I know with certain medications, it's actually cheaper not to use my insurance to get them, which is crazy. The whole point of insurance is supposed to be accessible care, right? They're supposed to be working for us. Why am I paying more as someone who's insured for something, but then when I go without my insurance, I'm actually paying less? I feel like it should be the other way around. It is clearly not working. Lots of other countries have different healthcare systems that have their drawbacks as well, but certainly we can admit that the system that we have is not working, and we need to, at the very least, have some kind of committee or something reviewing the different systems, what our best options are. Personally, I think an expanded healthcare system for all Americans, just a generalized universal health care for basic care like hospital visits, primary care visits, some specialists, should be available for all Americans free. Um, and then perhaps other specialist care, if you want to keep the insurance system that we have, maybe they can focus more on specific care, maybe that a universal health care would not cover, perhaps. But that could cause issues with making that specialized care more expensive too. So we'd have to seriously regulate that and ensure that it's fair for everyone. Now, universal health care, I think, is a great idea, but I don't know how much support that would actually gain, and how we go about doing that. One way we could do that is funding it through funding relocation or allocation, and taking our tax dollar money, and instead of giving it out to foreign countries to further their war crimes, or in other areas outside of the United States that are not helping our interests, we should put that back into Americans. Maybe one of those things is healthcare. We're already paying this money. Let's put it to something that will help Americans. And that's all Americans. When I say that, I'm talking about working class Americans. It does not matter your personal background, your beliefs, your race, your color of your skin, your ideology, if you're a Democrat or Republican. It, it includes everyone who is an American citizen, and I think that we need to focus on American citizens. We focus a lot on the outside world, on globalization. We certainly infiltrated and influenced a lot of elections and put in our own people, which kind of seems counter to what we say we want to do, right? If we want democracy overseas, I feel like putting our own person in, like infiltrating that government, putting our own person in, is kind of the opposite of democracy, right? We should be encouraging that in other places for them to vote for who they'd like, but it's not really freedom if we're telling that country who they have to put into power, right? Perhaps we should be, if we're going to fund things like that, maybe we should fund awareness campaigns and not literally supply arms to a counter candidate or a counter group to sow chaos so that our guy can win across seas. That seems not very democratic to me. I mean, let me know what you guys think. But back to healthcare, like I said, I've been in the system for 3 years, and I know it's not working. I've lived through it. This is the only system that I know. So some of you might have thought it was better a long time ago, or you're not seeing it right now, or you don't realize how bad it is. But as someone who works in the hospital system for several years, I can tell you that it is very bad. People should not be paying different prices for the same procedure, for example, depending on what level of insurance you have. Um, it's crazy, and we need to be addressing this. But instead, we're focused on the extremes of both sides of the political spectrum because they're losing the base. They have to be extreme to get those supporters to vote and to fund them so they can maintain their power. The problem is they're losing that power because more independents are coming up all over the place. And I say it all the time, in Pasco County alone, there's more independents now than there are Democrats. And I'll hear Democrats say, we can't win without the independent vote. Why are they independent? They don't trust you. They don't trust the Democratic Party. They feel like the Democratic Party has failed them or left them behind. And that is just further proof of people not supporting the two-party system, as well as them not coming out to vote for either side, right? Voter outreach or voter turnout is terrible. And why is that? Because people feel like their vote doesn't matter, or that both sides are the same, or that corporations are going to come out on top. Well, we need to be changing that. And that is why I'm running, to put a genuine voice of the people into this system, to get our needs back on top, not the needs of developers or insurance companies or billionaire corporations who don't have our best interests in mind, who only have the interest of their profit margins in mind. We need to put policies in place that support us, the working class people. I hope you agree with me. And if you do, I really need your support. I cannot do this without you guys. The two-party system funds itself. They have established donors. They have outreach groups. They get media attention. I have reached out to several media, different types of media, blogs, news, alternative news, normal news, podcasts, several people, several times, local Democrat groups, local Republican groups. I have not gotten a response, or I've gotten a brief response, but then no follow-up. I need support. I need donations. I need shares. I need likes. I need to get my voice out. I don't have the party backing. And the parties are so extreme now. Even right now, I'm seeing more luck talking with Democrats, Democratic groups. But some Democratic groups are also extremely in the extreme and totally against anyone not a Democrat, even if they agree with some of my ideas. They say, we have to vote Democrat, or they try to convince me to come over and join them because they need more young voices. That's not helping. Republicans, the Republican meeting I went to, Republican Party of Pasco County, something along those lines. I went there to hear Gus Bilirakis speak, and the whole time he was talking about the president's agenda, trying to convince the room that the president is doing good and why his words are great and good for the country. What about our district, man? Why are you sitting up there talking about the president the whole time? What about our district? What are you doing for us? Meanwhile, I see you post stuff on social media, photo ops about all these different things, and the contradictions, like meeting with nurses and then supporting the big, beautiful bill that takes the classification of a professional away from nurses for federally funded grants or programs. The hypocrisy is crazy. And Republicans also, the sentiment at that meeting and what I see online is no matter what, even, yes, some of these Republicans don't stand for us and they do support developers, but we have to vote red down the ticket no matter what. Remember, guys, vote red down the ticket. That is terrible messaging too. How dare you try to tell someone to vote for someone or for something that they don't completely align with or don't believe in just to keep the other side out. There are other options, and I encourage you to look at all of the options. And if you don't agree with me, look at Gus Bilirakis, look at Chris Irizarry, review their campaigns, see what they stand for, their background. Vote. Please vote. Why am I the best choice? Because I'm outside of the system. I'm not part of the establishment. Gus Bilirakis has been in here forever. He's part of the established Republicans. He's supported by the president. He spews propaganda for the president. And Chris is a nice guy. He was willing to talk to me a little bit, but he also comes from the establishment background of the CIA. And I am a proud supporter of veterans, don't get me wrong. Thank you for serving. I also find it infuriating that some of you had to serve in the conditions or in the wars that you had to. And I'm sorry that our government did that to you and made you do that. Some of the stories you hear are horrible, and we've also committed terrible war crimes. And speaking of the CIA, there's lots of controversies with the intelligence community. I don't know if I trust someone coming from the background of CIA. Surveillance programs, secret projects, establishment stuff. We need to get the heck out of District 12. If I'm elected, I'm going to be focusing on government reform in the form of 8-year term limits. Why 8? Because some people say 6, some people say 12. 8 is in the middle. 8 is 2 presidential terms. That's plenty of time to get it done. You don't have to be out of politics forever. You can move on, run for Senate, run for local office, run for president, but get the heck out of House. Let people who actually live in the system you create run, advocate for new ideas, get new people in, followed by public education. There needs to be focus on public education. We need to stop taking funds to fund voucher programs. We need to ensure the Department of Education is preserved. We need to ensure needy schools get the federal dollars they need. We also need to be putting workers' rights above corporations. And we need proportional representation in the form of uncapping the House, which is something I strongly believe in, will assist in creating more voices heard, smaller districts, just generally more representation. We used to expand Congress long ago, and then we stopped in, I think it was 1929. Our voices are not being heard, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. If you're living in a district, one representative represents over 700,000 people when they used to represent 200,000 people. It's a big difference. And some people say Gus is there for them. Some people say he's not. I don't think Gus, if he's trying his hardest, could talk to everyone and address every issue even if he wanted to, just because that's not how the system is arranged. I don't agree with Gus. He's been in there for a long time. He should probably worked out a system where at least fought for term limits, which he said he supported in 2023. But even if he wanted to, even if the best politician in the world comes up, there's no way in the current system they can represent the entire amount of people they represent. We need to be fixing that. We need to be fixing the structural way things operate so that the future generations have proportional representation, have their voices heard, and we can build a better future for America. Right now, maybe you're getting by, or if you're older right now, you might be doing great. But what about your kids, your grandkids? What about 10 years from now? We need to be thinking forward. We need to not just be thinking about the past or the present. We need to be thinking proactively, remembering what came before us, but also focusing on the future. How do we make things better, more equitable for all? How do we help those struggling, working class Americans, people who are disadvantaged, people who have been oppressed by the systems in place? We need to reform them, not calling for a straight dissolve, complete change in the way that we operate as a country. We need to strengthen it. We need to reform it to work for the people. And the people in office right now will not do it for us. That would affect their power. We need outside people in. I think the year for independence is this year. I think it will only continue in the trajectory of independence. Maybe not this year, we'll see independence across the board. But I hope I can be the first step in bringing more independence, showing more outsiders that they too can get in, and changing the system to make it easier for people to run for office if they'd like to. And I think we need to bring more awareness to local campaigns, local elections, not just the big presidential election. We also need open primaries to encourage everyone to show up to vote. The average voter right now who is an independent may think there's nothing for them to vote for in the primary. There is other things to vote for in the primaries for independents. Not many, but we cannot participate in either the Republican or the Democratic primary. I think we need an open system that allows people to vote. Because right now, with less Democrats, you're getting a minority opinion on who they want elected, right? So you have to either choose Republican or Democrat, and then a proportion of the population gets to decide who our options are. I think independents deserve the option too. They should be able to vote either Republican or Democrat in the primary. Maybe choose a ballot or have the options listed for independents to choose. We need to create some kind of system where our voices are heard, because right now they're not. Thanks for listening.